Hi everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to continue our work with operations with fractions, and we've already done addition and subtraction with denominators that are the same, and today we're going to go ahead and look at some multiplication and some division. We are going to be dividing and multiplying fractions by whole numbers. So let's start with multiplication. So I'm going to take 1/4 times 2, okay? So here's 1/4 one time, here's 1/4 two times. How many fourths do I have? 2, yeah, that's right, it equals 2/4. So I'm going to grab some paper so that I can write this down. One fourth times 2, which equaled 1/2. And I would trace that. Oopsies, mine moved. I would trace, or if you're at home and you don't have hard fraction pieces to trace, you can print and cut them. And that equals 2/4. So these are the two different ways that we can write it. Okay, so let's do another one. How about 3/5 times 3. Oof. So I'm going to take out a whole handful here of fifths. So I need 3/5 3 times. So here it is 1 time, 2 times, and 3 times. And to find my answer, I'm going to count how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I have 9/5. So I'm going to write that down. I have 3/5 times 3. And we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We had 9/5. And you remember from before, in the lesson proper and improper fractions and mixed numbers, when the numerator is bigger than the denominator, it's an improper fraction. So when we have an improper fraction, another option we have to do to write the same answer is we can turn it into a mixed number. And if you haven't practiced that lesson yet, I'm going to tell you, you should just stop here, write down the improper fraction, and then go watch that other video, okay? So I'm going to take my 9/5 and I'm going to see how many whole circles I can make. So there's 1. Now look at that. Am I able to make another whole circle? No. So I have 1 whole, and how many fifths left over? 4. So I can write it like this: 1 whole and 4/5. You see how the whole number is the same height as the fraction? You don't want to write it like this, because that kind of looks like 14/5. You want to write it like this to make sure it's nice and clear. Okay, let's go ahead and do another one. 2/7 times 6. That's a pretty big one, isn't it, huh? Well, here I have a whole stack of 7ths in my hand. So I need 2/7 6 times. So here's 2/7 once, 2/7 twice, 2/7 3 times, 2/7 4 times, 2/7 5 times, and 2/7 6 times. Let me write down my problem here. We have 2/7 times 6. So let's take a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 sevenths. So here we have another fraction where the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So we have an improper fraction. So I want to turn this into a mixed number. Let's do that. So I'm going to take all of my sevenths and see how many wholes I have. And don't mix these up because remember these are part of the problem that we made, okay? Definitely don't want to mix those up. Ooh. So here's one whole. And we have, let's see if we can make another one. I don't think we're going to be able to make another one. Nope. Look at that. So we have one whole and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sevenths left over. So one whole and 5 sevenths. Cool. So I want you to go ahead and practice this. You know, when you have that material in front of you and you can actually take out the right number of sevenths or fifths or thirds or eighths or whatever it is that you're multiplying, it makes it pretty darn easy to just see how many you have all together. And then if you're on the step of making mixed numbers, you can practice that. Again, remember, you don't have to turn it into a mixed number if you're not ready to yet. You can stick with the improper fractions. That's absolutely fine, okay? All right, cool. Now let's go ahead and look at division. Okay, so division can sometimes get a little bit trickier, but let's take a look here. If I did 3 fifths divided by 3, I'm going to put that here, 3 fifths divided by 3. Let me show you how I'm going to do this. I'm going to take my green Skittles. I'm going to lay them out so you can see them really easily. So the number of Skittles I have, or coins, you know, maybe some of your printed stamps, it truly doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be Skittles. It just has to be, you know, something that you can share your fifths out to. And I'm going to take my 3 fifths and I'm going to distribute them to each of my Skittles. Now remember, it has to be fair, right? So this Skittle gets 1, and this Skittle gets 1, and this Skittle gets 1. And there, I've used all of my fifths, and I have shared them out. And is it fair? Did every Skittle get the same amount? Yeah, they did. So we're done dividing. Now we need to find our answer. So if you remember, when we want to find our answer, we always have to look at 1 unit's place, okay? We want to know how many each Skittle got. Did each Skittle get 3? No, we had 3 altogether. Each individual Skittle got 1 fifth. So I'm going to write that. 3 fifths divided by 3 equals 1 fifth. There we go. Let's take a look at another one. And I want to do 1/2 divided by 2. So let's write that down. 1/2 divided by 2. So what this problem is saying is we need to take this 1/2 and we need to share it between these 2 Skittles. Now, is there something that is equivalent to 1/2 that would equal 2 pieces? Well, let's see. Ah, 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. So we could exchange this 1/2 for these 2/4, and then we can share them out equally. So 1 Skittle got how many fourths? 1. Each Skittle got 1/4. So the answer is 1/4. Let's do another one. Let's stick with our half example. This time we're going to do 1/2 divided by 1/2 divided by 3. Okay, there we go. Let's write that down. So this says I need to take this 1/2 and we need to share it between these 3 pieces, and they have to be equal. So that means I need to turn this half into 3 equal pieces. Well, what would be 3 pieces that's equivalent to 1/2? Think about that fraction equivalence now. 3/6. 3/6 is equivalent to 1/2. So I can exchange this half for these 3/6, and then I can share them out. So how much did 1 Skittle get? Got 1/6. Okay, cool. I'm going to do one more for you. I'm going to make it a little bit more tricksy pants. 1/3 divided by 2. So we have to ask ourselves, we need to split this 1/3 in half so that we can share it to these 2. So you got to think about your fraction equivalence. What's equivalent to 1/3? We know that 3/9 is equivalent, and we know that 2/6 is equivalent. Those are the 2 things that are equivalent in our material. Now we know it can't be 9ths because it wouldn't be fair, right? We can't do anything with this. But with 6ths, we can exchange for 2/6, and then it's fair and equal. So 1/3 divided by 2 equals, how much did 1 Skittle get? 1/6. Oh, look at that. Got the same answer twice in a row. Okay, so that's division. It's probably pretty obvious to you right now that you really need to have a very strong handle on your fraction equivalence to be able to do most division problems. So if you're rusty on that, I recommend that you super practice it, come back and then practice your division. So that's it for this lesson. We did multiplication and division. I want you to practice these, and then what I encourage you to do is make up a whole bunch of problems, all 4 operations, mix them all up, and put them on a piece of paper. So you have practice paying attention to which operation you're working on. If you mix them all up, you have to make sure you're paying close attention to what you should be doing. It's really easy to do like 15 multiplication problems in a row and then move on to a different operation and accidentally keep doing multiplication. So I want you to make up problems too after you practice this really well, and I want you to practice paying attention to which operation you're doing. And you can do that with any of the math work that you've been working on. Okay, guys, that is all that I've got for you. If you have any questions, reach out, and I think you're just great. All right, bye.